New York is a bigger deal, but it's going to go also. But I have a feeling that a lot of the numbers that are being said in some areas are just bigger than they're going to be. I don't believe you need 40,000 or 30,000 ventilators. You know, you go into a major hospital sometimes, they'll have 2 ventilators, and now all of a sudden they're saying, can we order 30,000 ventilators?
That was President Trump on Fox News on Thursday saying he doesn't believe New York needs the 30,000 ventilators that Governor Andrew Cuomo has called for. And here's PBS NewsHour White House correspondent Yamiche asking the president about that comment, his briefing just moments ago.
You've said repeatedly that you think that some of the equipment that governors are requesting they don't actually need. You said New York might not need the 30,000. You said it on Sean Hannity's Fox News. You said
that
why
don't you people act? Let me ask you.
You said why
don't you act in a little more positive? It's always trying to get you. And you know what? That's why nobody trusts the media anymore.
My question to you is, how is that going to impact?
Excuse me, you didn't hear me. That's why you used to work for the Times and now you work for somebody else. Look, let me tell you something. Be nice. Don't
Mr. President, my question
Don't be threatening. Be nice. When journalists get up, and you're a journalist, a fine journalist, when journalists get up
Sean Hannity
and ask questions that are so threatening.
I was quoting you directly from your interview with Sean Hannity.
Take a look at my interview. What I want to do is, if there is something wrong, we have to get to the bottom of it. When I hear face masks go from 10,000 to 300,000, and they constantly need more, and the biggest man in the business is like shocked. He knows all about the virus, by the way. He's not surprised by that. He knows all about it. He shouldn't be surprised. He should say, well, that's standard, because this is really a very tough disease. This is really a very tough virus to handle. Okay,
Mr.
please, go ahead.
Mr. President, my second question.
That's enough. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, my second
please. That's enough.
Mr. President.
That's enough. That's not fair to your other reporters.
And there you saw them physically taking the microphone away from my colleague in the press corps, Yamiche Alcindor. Joining me now, White House bureau chief for The Washington Post and MSNBC political analyst Philip Rucker, and Washington bureau chief for the USA Today, Susan Page. Thank you both for being here tonight. Phil, let me start with you. First, I'm interested in your take on what just happened there with Yamiche, but also broadly, the president deciding today to extend this stay-at-home guidance through at least April 30th. It seems that perhaps maybe he has finally gotten the message.
I think that's right. You know, this was a real retreat for President Trump, because for the last week, we've been hearing him tout Easter as a possible time for when the economy could be reopened, and really adamant about the desire to get businesses open, get people back in the streets, at work, at restaurants, and so forth, even in the face of real strong opposition from public health officials and from a number of governors around the country who've been studying the science and trusting the science. Now, that exchange with Yamiche, let me just say, Yamiche Alcindor is a consummate professional. She is a world-class journalist. We know her very well. She's a friend of this show. She also gets under the president's skin because she asks probing and direct questions time and again at these briefings. We've seen the president react to her, lash out at her, and what happened today was really uncalled for on his part. He didn't even let her get her question out before he started to personally attack her and the press corps.
And Susan Page, let's just pick up on why Yamiche was asking this question, because the president was raising questions about whether Andrew Cuomo needs the ventilators that he says he needs. There is no reason not to think that New York is not going to need these 30,000 ventilators, and yet the president had no interest in engaging on that question.
And of course, press conferences are not campaign rallies. Reporters are not hired to be nice. They are hired and employed to ask questions, sometimes tough questions, questions that hold officials accountable. And the number one way you can hold an official accountable is to quote what he said before back to him and ask about how things are going now. Does his statement hold up? Was he right? Is he telling the truth? These are the things that reporters do, and it makes presidents mad. No president really likes the reporters who cover him, I think. But the level of disrespect and a lack of understanding, I think, about the role of the press is quite remarkable here. Also, to your other point, the president made an extraordinary charge here. He suggested that hospitals in New York are either hoarding or selling. He said maybe they're going out the back door, masks and other equipment that are being delivered to them. So far as I know, there is no evidence of that. The president did not provide any evidence to back that up. He suggested we should look into it.
Right. We have been underscoring that kind of repeatedly here. And I want to pick up on the point you made about political campaign rallies, the fact that that's not what's going on in these press conferences. I want to show a little bit of an ad that Joe Biden, of course, still running for president, even as the campaign has been pushed to the bottom of our rundowns and off of our television screens. He is, of course, still approaching things in that context. And the Biden campaign put this out over the course of the last couple days. Watch.
And I say, Mike, don't call the governor of Washington. You're wasting your time with him.
Here in Washington state tonight, 175 people have now died. 3,700 more are sick.
Don't call the woman in Michigan.
Governor Gretchen Whitmer officially calling on President Trump for a major disaster declaration in Michigan.
Michigan is now at more than 2,800.
Governor of Washington? No, you know what I say? If they don't treat you right, I don't call.
Phil Rucker, quite an ad from the Joe Biden campaign amid all of this. Of course, we know that the president's approval rating has also been ticking upward, as often happens in a crisis.
Yeah, that's right, Casey. It was a really striking ad from the Biden campaign, although totally expected, because I think we all, when we watched that news briefing that the president gave on Friday, and he made that really startling comment about governors and effectively saying he expects their public praise for his job performance if he sends federal resources to their states. You knew that would appear in the campaign ads between now and November. I just didn't know it would come out so immediately from the Biden campaign. But that is a statement that Trump is going to have to be dealing with in the weeks and months ahead to try to explain.
Well, and Susan Page, the state of Michigan going to be a critical battleground come November, no matter what happens with all of this and what we're grappling with now. And the president has really had a difficult relationship, to say the least, with the Michigan governor, repeatedly belittling her as she has tried to stand up for her state.
And, you know, you see these governors, I think, having a dilemma in that if they have criticisms about what the president has said or what the federal government is doing, they risk actually having substantive repercussions for the people in their state. I saw the governor of Colorado interviewed earlier today, just declining to take the bait, although he clearly had some concerns about what the federal government was doing, what the president said, because he said his first agenda was to get help for the people of Colorado. This is not the way things usually work in times of national crises like this overlay or this suggestion of an overlay of presidential politics. And it's not likely to go away because we are, of course, extraordinarily in the election year as we deal with this pandemic.
For sure. Phil Rucker, Susan Page, it's lovely to see both of you, if not in person, our socially distanced remotes. I really do appreciate you taking the time. I hope you both stay safe.